What up, what up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Mo.J and we are locked in. Today we have TV1 presents Uncensored, DMX. This is the final interview. Now this is a two-part series. This first episode here is just his final interview that he did. Now it's unfortunate that we lost DMX. Rest in peace. He's a good man. He did a lot for the hip-hop culture. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have known what the double R was. So we have to, give him thanks for that. But before we get started, shout out to the notification gang. If you're new to the channel and want to be a part of this, hit your subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so you get something every time I upload. Hit that like button. It's the easiest thing you can do. Now, I love doing hip hop documentaries and breaking those down. I think those are kind of my best videos that I do because a lot of these artists I listened to growing up. So seeing their perspective of it and hearing how they grew up and their takes on everything that they were going through, I love breaking those down. But I'm not going to hold you up anymore. This is TV1 presents Uncensored, DMX, the final interview. DMX starts the episode off with a prayer. One thing you know about DMX is the Lord and the dog. So with this prayer, he's giving all praises to God. He's also saying thank you for the good times and the bad times, because he knows even though you give us these bad times, you're giving us these bad times because you know we can overcome them and we can use those negative experiences to make a positive out of it. And he's also saying that the devil may put obstacles in our way, but with the Lord we can get around them. So DMX, he's always been close with the Lord, and we could always hear it within his music. Up until the age of 20, everyone would tell DMX, you're not going to make it to the age of 20. So for him, living and making it to 20 and proving everybody wrong was his motivation to keep pushing and keep trying harder and harder. Because if someone's telling you, oh, you're not going to make it, you're not going to do it, proving them wrong is the best feeling you can have. Y'all said I wouldn't make it to 20. Well, I made it to 20. And look at me. I'm living out my dreams. I'm rapping. I'm doing everything that I want to do, even though you said I couldn't. So that was one of the things that motivated X to keep pushing through all of the downtimes he had. This right here, this interview shows how much confidence X had in himself. Now they asked him, who do you think is one of the best freestylers? And she was like, no pressure, LL Cool J is right here. And X is like, no, I got respect for everybody. But when it comes to freestyling and rapping, I had to say I'm the best. And the reason for that is because I'm rapping about the stuff that I want to hear and the stuff that I experience. And that's with anything. People may not be the best basketball player, but when you ask them who's the best on the court, they're going to say them because they had that confidence in themselves and they want to be able to put themselves on a higher playing field and push themselves to actually be the best. So for X, the best freestyler to him was himself. Growing up, X's father wasn't in his life, so he kind of resented him. And one of the things was because in his mother's photo album, there was a picture of him sitting on his dad's lap. His father had on a cowboy hat, and you could see X trying on a hat. So for him, he was saying, oh, that's the other half of this. But he's not around, so he left my mom. So for any child seeing pictures of their father, and they know that their father's alive, but he's not around, they're going to have that resentment towards him. And that was one thing that always stuck in X's mind. Like, man, forget this dude. He ain't around. He ain't helping out. He ain't doing nothing. X eventually goes and see his father. His mom convinces him. He's like, what I want to go see him for? And now you can tell he really remembers this situation because he said when he seen his father, he had on a corduroy suit with the patches on the elbow with the matching pants and some leg warmers. Now he's always been mad at his dad, but his dad was like, hey man, this is how I live. I don't have nowhere to live. He's staying in the park. So for X, he's looking at him and he was kind of like, dang man, he's down and out, but at the same time, I got to see him. Even though I never really wanted to see him, I got to see him to at least say, I saw him and I seen how he was living. One of the things that hurt X most about his father was he left his mom and he was with some white lady that didn't have any teeth. So for him, it was like, dang, this is what you out here doing. But as time went on, him and his father, they have a relationship now, but he says he can't see him a lot. He had to have it in bulk. I can see you maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months, but I can't take my father in bulk. And, there's people like that, but you still have love for him and you make the best out of the relationship. For X growing up, everything always seemed dark to him. And the reason for that is because the apartment complex they lived in the basement. So the shades was always pulled down. You couldn't really look out. And he said right outside the door, it was an alley. So even during the daytime, you look out, you're like, man, it's just dark. So for him growing up as a child, everything was just always dark to him. For him growing up, and you see this a lot with a lot of us, especially even where I grew up at, where we grow up as an adult, you look back at it like, man, that was a bad neighborhood. But when that's all you have, and you're growing up, you're like, it ain't bad here. This is the normal, people running about, getting chased by cops. That's just what you see on the normal. So that's what you expecting. Like, this is everyday life. I can survive this. X used to get dropped off at band practice by his mother. And the first time he ever touched a microphone in the stand, he didn't know when you turn the stand, it actually lowers it or raises it. So he just unturned it and it dropped and it actually hit his finger and he had a blister on it. He was like, that's the last time I ever did that. So that was his first experience with a microphone and a mic stand. X does say his mom used to take them to church, but she wasn't really strict to that point. They knew that if they messed up, just like we all did as kids, we knew if we messed up, our parents were going to get on our ass. It's just, hey, you messed up today? Come on in here. We about to get on you. So X knew that at an early age. Hey, if mama say do something, you better do it. X tells us a story. One day his mother told him to watch his sister. Don't leave her out there by herself. Now X found a dime. And back then, a dime goes a long way. So he went to the corner store, left his sister, got a lollipop and one of the little bouncy balls. Now when he was leaving to come back, he got hit by a car, thrown across the street and up under another car. When he was there, all he could think about is, I got to get up because I'm going to get in trouble. My mom is going to whoop me because I was not supposed to be down here. Now, he says some white lady was just out of place. She had a clipboard. She was in the hood. And she was like, nah, just stay here. Stay down. And he said everybody was giving him coats and stuff to put on him and put him up under his head. But he said the whole time I was thinking, my mom is about to come and whoop me. X's mom gets a call. And they're like, Earl got hit. So she runs down there and she sees him laying on the sidewalk. And she's like, oh my goodness. So in her head, all she's thinking is, I hope this boy is right. But also she was saying, I'm not going to whoop him. He got punishment enough from getting hit by that car. Now, DMX says the white lady with the clipboard left. She was nowhere around. So for him, he feels like that was actually an angel sent down there to watch over him to make sure he didn't get a whooping. The trouble in school started for X. It wasn't because he wasn't smart. It was he would tell his mom, I already went over that. I know this. Why do I got to keep going over it? So she said that's when he started to change and he started to become more of the class clown and would try to make people laugh. Because for him, why I got to learn 2 + 2 every single day when I know it's 4? That's what's wrong with the school system now. They ain't teaching us life skills. They teaching us the basics. X actually related with one of the young men in his class named Junior. Now, him and Junior, that was his friend. He did everything with him. So it was like we had fire drills, we would do that. But one day, Junior passed out in class and he never came back. So X is wondering, why aren't you guys telling us what happened to him? The first day he doesn't come back. The second day he doesn't come back. So for X, it's like, that was the only person that I could really relate to, play with. I was cool, I could talk to. Where is he? No one ever explained what happened to his friend. You can tell there was some kind of rage being built up. You just lost your friend. You don't know what happened to him. No one's explaining. And there's 2 girls in this class. He said they were twins and they used to pick on him because of his name, Earl to Pearl. And he said after the second day of his friend missing, he ended up whooping on him. He blacked out and he beat both of them up. And then he ran away. And instead of coming home, he actually went to the little park, this little parking lot, and that's where he was at, playing with a tire because he didn't want to go home and he left school. X's mom calls the police. They pick him up. They actually take him to a holding cell. Now, when she gets there, she's trying to convince the police, please let me in there for just 2 seconds to talk to him. She wanted to talk to her son because she reported him missing and they found him, but they're holding him. And the police are like, no, you can't go in there and see him. So they end up going to court and the judge is saying, hey, you need to find somewhere for your son to go since he's not going to school or anything like he should be. You need to find somewhere for him to live where he can go to school and be able to. But she couldn't find anywhere for him. Since his mother couldn't find anywhere for him to stay and the father isn't around, they tell him, hey, you guys got to put him in a group home. And once X gets to this group home, he doesn't understand that his mom doesn't want to put him in here. She has to. The court is making her legally put him in there. So for him, he looked at his mom like, all the times you whooped me and I didn't go to school and tell them that you were whooping on me and my butt was hurting, I held up my end of the bargain. You should be doing yours. But he didn't know as a child that his mom legally couldn't do anything. So she left him and it hurt. It hurt both of them because, of course, no mom wants to leave their child. But for a child, seeing his mom leave him, not knowing that she doesn't have any control, that's going to hurt also. One thing DMX did say about this group home is that there was a teacher named Miss Smith, and he remembered she had a bun on her head. Black lady. She told him to look at all the other students and told him, you're going to have to work 2 times harder than all of them to get anything you want in this life. And he said this is the first time someone cared for him outside of his mom and treated him like a human. So he always remembered her. And you always need somebody like that. I had one. My teacher was Miss Battle in the 3rd grade. Some white kid stole my paper. We had to write about what we did over the summer. He stole it. And then they had me and him come in there and actually say what was on there. Now, she told me this is going to happen to me a lot in life. People are going to try to steal your work, especially if it's good work. And I'll always remember that. They bring on Styles P to talk about his relationship. And if you don't know, Styles P is a member of the Locks, one of the trio, one of the better ones, in my opinion. But he talks about being friends with DMX and noticing that he's never met anybody that actually had a conversation with you and talked, growled, and barked all in the same sentence. So for him, he felt like X was really half man, half dog. And we all felt that way. DMX, you always thought pit bull. X explains the relationship between him and a dog. Well, a human and a dog, period. No matter what, a dog is going to be loyal to you. A dog isn't going to lie to you. A dog is going to be your companion all the way into the end. And when you look at the word dog, spell it backwards, it's God. And that's why DMX is so close with God also, and what ties him in with the dog. But no matter what you do to a dog, you can leave a dog at home. But when you come home, that dog's going to be happy to see you. And what I get from this is, that's the closest thing he had to a friendship. After his friend, whatever happened to him, Junior, having a dog, they're always going to be there for you no matter what. DMX, he loved dogs. Those were his best friend. Now, his main dog was Boomer that you can see here. Boomer, he used to actually take on robberies with him because people are more afraid of a dog than they are a gun. Because a gun, the person behind that gun might not pull that trigger. They may not be bold enough or brave enough or have the confidence enough to pull that trigger. But this dog is going to listen to X. And if he tells him to go get you, it's going to go get you. And you ain't outrunning this dog. It's going to get you, and it's going to hold you until X gets over there. Unfortunately, he ends up losing his dog, Boomer. It gets hit by a van. Now, he said that there was enough space for the van to go around 3 lanes on each side, but they still hit it. One thing he does say is he felt like God was with the people in the van, because if he would have got over there and they would have stopped instead of continue driving, he probably would have killed everybody in the van and he would have went home like nothing happened. So he said God was on the people in the van side because he actually saved them from what he would have done to them. X then explains a robbery. Well, this time it wasn't a robbery that he actually committed. One time there was a robbery. He robbed a guy who robbed a guy. And it turned out the jewels that he had was from somebody else. And they're like, nah, you got to come here. You robbed this guy for him. And when X gets there, he's like, nah, I didn't rob him. I know his pops. I wouldn't rob him. I don't rob kids. I robbed somebody else. But he got accused for it. He's like, damn, that's messed up. He said he had a good knife on him, but he ended up dropping it. Like, hey, don't even pick it up. And he was like, damn, I would have did some work with that knife there. But he got accused of a robbery he didn't even do. I mean, he robbed the person that robbed the person, but, you know, it is what it is. We get into DMX starting to rap and how he actually started to get on. Now, DMX, in this interview here, he's the voice of the streets. He keeps his ear to the streets. He keeps his heart in the streets. And his words, they just in the air, but he is the street. He's going to be the voice of the streets and until the day he passes away. And he really was. Really was. DMX talks about how he comes in the studio. Now, Lior was in there, and there was all the rappers in Yonkers were in there. But when X showed up, he said they parted like the Red Sea. He went in there, he did his thing, but he said Lior was just looking at it like, yeah, it's all right. He said he didn't show any, like, excitement about it. And X was like, damn. I know I killed that though. But what X didn't know is Lior liked the song so much, he went ahead and put the Get At Me Dog remix out first on a mixtape. And this is the first time a remix came out before the original song. But then he told X, all right, let's do this deal. Go ahead. I want you to redo that song. I want the same growling. I want the same barking. I want all of it. And X is like, man, I could go even harder than that on there, man. Let me do it. And Lior was like, nah, I know exactly what I want. X says the day that he's about to pass away, he's going to look back at every moment and he's going to cherish each and every one of them, because at the end of the day, that was a good time in his life. Whether it was a down or an up moment, he's always going to look back and he's going to be happy of everything that happened. Yes, there's some things you want to change, but everything that happens in life is an experience that you grow off, you learn, but you always keep these memories and it's going to push you ahead. So he always said, even before he passes, I'm always going to be grateful of everything that was presented to me. Now he speaks on how he actually got onto drugs at 14 with his man, Reg. He went to a robbery. Reg didn't come with him. So once they did the robbery, they came back. Reg was like, oh, y'all did that? He's like, yeah. So they went to the room. They were counting money. Reg lit the blunt. They started passing it around. He said once he hit it, it was laced. He didn't know that, but it went from counting the money to, hey, where'd the blunt go? Where'd the blunt go? Now he said Reg said, oh yeah, I dropped it out the window. But we all know when we smoking, if you drop, you like, damn, man, I dropped the damn blunt. And at that age, 14, 15, we like, man, we better go out there and try to find it then. But Reg didn't do that. He was just like, oh, he put it out. And so for X, he's like, man, that was the moment where I kind of got hooked on it. Like, man, I didn't know what was in it, but I trusted my man Reg. I looked up to him, but this is what he did to me. He's saying he should have looked at that situation and pretty much, surveyed what was going on. Like, oh, nah, I'm good on that. But he does talk about how he left it in one of his verses in his song, Smoke Crack at 14. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's sad, but you got to watch the people around you, man. You really got to pay attention to these people in your circle. That leads X into saying that parents aren't good parents. Parents are just two people that had sex and made a baby. You have to make sure you raise your kids properly. Now, no one's ever an expert at it, especially if it's your first child. So you have to make sure that you're there to raise the kids properly and teach them things, because it's a learning experience for you. But make sure you're there for them so they understand this is what's going on in life and what to watch out for, so you don't get taken advantage of by others and you're on a good straight path to fulfill your dream. So he looks at it like he wants to be there for his kids, to teach them how to ride a bike, roller skate, do things in life, drive a car, shoot a gun. That was kind of funny to me, but he's right. You want to be able to be there for your children, to teach them all the things that you wish you would have learned when you were growing up. They speak on when X was on Ayana Fix My Life, where he's talking to his son and stuff. And he does get upset about it because he's saying, hey, I'm trying to talk to my son here and you keep intervening. X really wanted to relate to his kids. We know that he wanted to be what his father wasn't for him. Now, he does say that Ayana actually came out and apologized to him for it, because she understands as a father, he did want to talk to his child. So that's good that these two were on the same page at the end of the day, because she's there to help fix it. But at the same time, you have to let a father be a father. So I'm glad that these two fixed whatever little issue they had in between each other and they squashed it. It wasn't a real beef or nothing, but it was just in the heat of the moment. He also speaks on the situation with his mom. Now, him and his mom, remember, they didn't really see eye to eye because he always thought she left me in this group home. But once he seen her as an adult and she came in, he started to understand different things. So, of course, he started crying because it's emotional. And he understands that his mom actually loved him. She didn't want to put him in the group home. The law made her do it, and there was nothing she could do. So for him, he forgave all of that, just like that, in the snap of a finger. All of the negative thoughts he had about his mom and her not loving and caring, it went out the window, because she always loved him. But we know how the system is. Once they tear us apart, they try to keep us apart. Keep a black child on his own, figure it out on your own. Even if you don't have your father in your life, your mother is still the foundation of you. So for him, he understood that as an adult and having children, he knew that his mom actually really cared for him, and that's deep. DMX's ex-wife says 11 years before him being famous, he lacked that confidence. One, because his mother was gone, he's in a group home, he in and out of jail. So for him, it was always, I gotta be able to try to find myself and make myself the person that I think everybody thinks I should be, instead of just being him. And this all becomes because he didn't have any support, any emotional or physical support from anybody. It was X versus the world. So you see this a lot. That's why it's always good to have someone you can at least talk to. And that's why they say therapy is so important. You got to be able to talk about situations that you're going through, because if not, it's going to be tough out there by yourself. And that's where a lot of built up rage and negativity comes from. But one thing he did know is that the faith in God will always work. and the talent that God gave him that he can use to go to the next level. So that's one thing he knew. He knew God and his music was going to be his way. That's one thing he did know. Now, his mom talks about an experience that happened where Earl actually escaped. They sent him up north. Now, he was in there. He escaped. Escaping gives you 5 extra years. Now, DMX, he said he's running. He's trying to get up out of there. He got bit by a dog that was chasing him, but he made it to his mama's house. Now, his mom, being a real one, she was like, hey, you can't stay here, but you got to change your clothes because they going to come here looking for you. So she helped him change clothes, and he got up out of here. I'm talking about DMX got low. He made it home, seen his mom, and he got up out of there. Now, the cops asked the mom, well, have you seen him? He's like, nah, he hasn't been here. And X, he was just getting rides from people and going to different places and hiding. His mom was like, nah, he wasn't here, but he knows a lot of people, has connections. I don't know where he is. But X says, thankfully, they never came for him after that. And nothing ever happened. But the whole time, 5 years was on his head. So he said this is another time that God was looking out for him. The thing X loves about God the most is when he sends you a message, this message is for you and for you only. And the reason he gives you this message, because once you receive it, that just builds your relationship with him and makes it stronger. So we all get a message from him. It's just what you do with that message to push you forward in the next day. And of course, X finishes with a prayer and he says, thank the Lord, and you give us the direction that we need to go, because as humans, we don't know what to do with ourselves. You created us, so you know where we need to go. You need to lead us to where we need to be, and we will follow you. All right, there you go, the DMX last interview. Now, X, I like him because he's vulnerable. He opens up and he tells us everything, and he's not going to sugarcoat anything for you. If he said it, he meant it. If he did it, then he did it. He's not going to lie to you about it. Let me know what you guys think about that. I'm going to give you guys part 2 when it drops tonight. I'm Mo.J. If you like the content on the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Thanks for watching. I'm out.
Jimmy on the beat, boy.